Hey folks, welcome back to Hey Dad. It's been a while since I posted any videos. And the subject for today is basically cooking and my hobby of cooking and more, having to do with food and in the kitchen. So, a little background. I started cooking when I was about 13. I grew up watching Julia Child on PBS, um, kind of the later years, after she was already famous. And I was so fascinated by the work she did and enjoyed her presentation so much that I asked to do a lot of cooking. And my mom, having recently transitioned from being a full-time stay-at-home mom to being a full-time worker, she was happy to have me take over some of the cooking duties. Now, one of the first things that I learned to do was to make mayonnaise at home. And honestly, since I turned 18 and was on my own, and I got at 18 for my first apartment, I got my first food processor. This is not it, but this is my current one. This is only my second one. I had the first one, and it broke. And then now I've had this one for about 20 years. So I learned how to make mayonnaise from Julia Child. And honestly, since I've been 18, I don't think I have bought mayonnaise more than 4 or 5 times. I have always made my own mayonnaise since I moved out on my own. But there's also lots of other things that I've learned to do when it comes to cooking. I do some canning, like I've canned pickles from cucumbers that I grew. Same thing with tomatoes, tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, marinara. I've also canned a lot of refried beans, chicken. Speaking of chicken, I regularly make my own stock. I save bones and skin and make my own stock usually from roasted chicken parts and vegetables. And then, of course, as I mentioned, I also make mayonnaise. So this video today is the basics on how to make mayonnaise at home. I find this mayonnaise to be, well, it's my preferred taste. Of course, I'm used to it since I've been making it for like 40 plus years. I'm running low, so it's good that I'm going to make mayonnaise. I think mayonnaise is really versatile. You know, to me, it's one of the great sauces of French cuisine, like Béarnaise and Hollandaise mayonnaise. Use it all the time, not just on sandwiches, but on salad dressings, things like coleslaw, chicken salad, tuna salad. There's so many different ways that we, in a standard casseroles, use mayonnaise within our cooking. So a jar like this that I make at home will last me probably close to a month and costs really pennies. I think maybe $1 at most to make my own mayonnaise. So I'll go over what the contents are and how we put it together. I'll show you all that. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so let's go over the ingredients. We'll start with this. This is eggs. For me, for a half batch, I use one egg. If I want to make a full jar, that would be 2 eggs. All right. I use canola oil. You can use any basically neutral tasting vegetable oil. I use canola. That would be for a half batch about 1 3/4 cups. About a tablespoon of Dijon mustard, 1 to 2 tablespoons of vinegar. I use apple cider or white wine vinegar. About 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, a dash of white pepper, and a good pinch of salt, maybe a couple pinches. Those are the ingredients. So it's very basic and has pretty much stuff that most people have in their kitchen on a daily or weekly basis. Okay, here we go. I always start with an egg. This is for a half batch. And then a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. I think I said tablespoon earlier. It's a teaspoon of the mustard. But a tablespoon of the vinegar and the lemon juice. All right, and then after that comes the salt and a bit of white pepper. And then I will usually just pulse it, blend that together. And after that is when I start pouring in a steady stream, not too heavy of a stream, but certainly not just drips, into the main bowl, the 1 3/4 cups of neutral vegetable oil. That takes 2 or 3 minutes to get in there and create the emulsion. It's the beating of the blade that makes it into an emulsion. And it is better than with a blender, which has the curved blades, which tends to add air. And that's not the best thing to add to your mayonnaise. But 2 to 3 minutes of beating in a steady stream, and when you finish, you can take the lid off, and there you got creamy, delicious mayonnaise. And put it in a jar, and it will keep in the fridge for a few weeks. So that's how you make mayonnaise. All those steps. I can literally, after all these years, I don't use much more than the measuring cup for the oil. Everything else I do by sight, and I'm so used to it, I can get a batch of mayonnaise done within 3, maybe 4 minutes tops. So it's really easy to produce. You know, once every 2 or 4 weeks, 4 minutes, I've got a batch of mayonnaise. It's fresh. It lasts plenty long in the refrigerator without going bad because I use it so regularly. And I think it's a really great thing to be able to make your own mayonnaise and sauces and things like that. So that's part of my cooking. I'll talk more about what else I do on a regular basis when it comes to the cuisine of our household. But until then, give mayonnaise a shot. Give it a try if you feel like it, if you've got a food processor. Heck, if you have just a stick blender, you can make mayonnaise with that. Or a standard blender. You can make it with that. It's really quite easy. So have a good week. Talk to you later.